Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of GoodPods. If you haven't heard of it yet, GoodPods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On GoodPods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find GoodPods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
This podcast is hosted by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message to the world. If you want an upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find exactly what you need. We use Buzzsprout, and it's a game changer for us. An all-new analytics system helps us track who's listening to our show and where they're listening to it. If you'd like to use Buzzsprout as well, follow the link in our show notes to buzzsprout.com. And while you're there, let them know that Films and Fermentation sent you. All right. I'm ready when you guys are. Let's distract ourselves a little bit.
Thank you.
Lady, go! Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 111. It's our 11th birthday, as Bilbo Baggins would say.
11:1.
Right. 11:1. We are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. On this episode, we decided to revisit a unanimous favorite amongst the Films and Fermentation family, a highly entertaining, highly quotable gangster classic, The Untouchables. It's
Holly
the Chicago
bloody, too.
way. What's that? What you say?
Holly bloody. It's a very bloody movie.
Very bloody movie. It's a Brian De Palma film, and that's a standard Brian De Palma feature of his films.
He's always got a head count.
Always got a head count. It's the Chicago way, and yes, we recognize the irony of doing a review of a Prohibition film on an alcohol-related podcast.
Exactly.
I grew up in a tough neighborhood. Sometimes reputation follows you.
Robert De Niro is Al Capone.
There is violence in Chicago, of course, but not by me and not by anybody I employ, and I'll tell you why, because it's not good business.
Kevin Costner is Elliot Ness.
I have sworn to put this man away with any and all legal means at my disposal, and I will do so.
Sean Connery is Jimmy Malone.
You want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife. You pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital. You send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. You just joined the Treasury Department, son. Everybody knows where the booze is. The problem isn't finding it.
Let's do some good!
The problem is who wants to cross Capone.
Somebody messes with me, I'm gonna mess with him.
You carry a badge?
Yes?
Carry a gun.
Get your hands in the air!
You're all under arrest.
You fellas are untouchable. Is that the thing? No one can get to you? Hey, everybody can be gotten to.
All right, then. Drive him to the station. Anything happens, you shoot first. You understand me?
Well, I'll tell you one more thing. You got an all-out prize fight, you wait till the fight's over, one guy's left standing, and that's how you know who won.
Just tell me, are you being careful?
Careful as mice.
I want to hurt the man, Malone. I want to start taking the battle to him. I want to hurt Capone.
This man can finger Al Capone. This man can put Capone behind bars.
Well, what's the matter? Can't you talk with a gun in your mouth?
You're not approving your methods.
Yeah? Well, you're not from Chicago.
I want you to find this Nancy boy, Elliot Ness. I want him dead. I want his family dead.
Paramount Pictures presents a Brian De Palma film.
I have forsworn myself. I have broken every law I swore to defend. I have become what I beheld, and I am content that I have done right.
You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now.
Never stop fighting till the fight is done.
The Untouchables.
Don't forget to drop us an email, filmsandfermentation@gmail.com, or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. You can get our merchandise at teespring.com or support the show by joining Patreon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, download, do all those good things that get our metrics up and get our name out there for us.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah, carrier pigeons, handshakes, the usual. What are we drinking tonight? I have a feeling we're all on the same track here for tonight.
Well, I'm drinking some moonshine. This is Prohibition, and
yes.
I'm drinking the blackberry moonshine with some ginger ale.
Okay. Kevin, what do you got going on?
So I looked up what was one of the most popular alcohols during Prohibition. And not surprisingly, what's that?
Gin and bourbon.
Well, if it was imported from the north, it would have been whiskey. If it was coming in from the south, it would have been tequila. But to make yourself, it was gin. You're right, gin. So I am drinking a gin with a waft of tonic, and I squeezed. You can see the little. That's about as much lime as I got going on in there, and I'm nearly out, so I'm going to need more soon. A lot more.
So we all went a different route. I went the whiskey route, since whiskey features heavily in the movie The Untouchables.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to drink the original Jesse James American Outlaw Tennessee whiskey.
Ooh.
I figured it has all of the elements there of what The Untouchables was about there. Outlaws and whiskey. So, yeah, I was right. We kind of had Prohibition in mind when we picked our drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess since we're an alcohol podcast, we all rooted for Al Capone in the movie.
Katie wanted you to know that she's drinking Mike's Hard Black Cherry Lemonade.
Very nice.
I saw Adrian pull the bottle of one of the Tennessee Stud ciders up on the counter. So
I believe Monday was National Tequila Day, or not tequila, National Margarita Day. So I just took the 3/4 bottle of margarita, or 2/3 bottle of margarita mix that I had, and my 1/3 bottle of tequila that I had, and mixed it all up, and just was chugging that on Monday. So
last week was National Bourbon Day. It's nice, yeah. All these drink holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it must be nice just to drink in the middle of the week during the day.
It is. Anything special happened this week, Michael?
This day in film history. I believe, Leo, you have the first one.
Yeah, I added this one in. June 17th, 1988. The Great Outdoors premieres, making this the 35th anniversary of that tremendous film. Had I known that earlier, I might have suggested that for the movie tonight.
June's not over yet.
Yeah.
This I would really love to make sure that we're around for the 96th anniversary. The old 96er.
The old 96er.
Yeah.
So that would be holy shit.
Another 41
another
61 years.
61 years from now, that would be 2084.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
We'll be around.
Be around.
My liver won't last that long.
I would be 106 years old.
Nah.
Mike would be 127.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
109.
I'm not saying we'd have our own blood. I'm just saying.
We'd have to be like the heads in Futurama. We'd be in the glass cases.
Just kind of bobbing around.
Mike, what else happened this week?
In 1955, Walt Disney's animated film Lady and the Tramp was released.
And kids everywhere were trying to suck that spaghetti string and kiss the girl.
In 1977, Disney's Rescuers was released. First Disney film to get a sequel.
The Rescuers, was it Rescuers Down Under was the sequel?
It was a sequel.
Yeah, they should have done that.
Yeah, The Rescuers, released the same year I was.
Rescuers also had a little bit of controversy, didn't they? There was a scene. Wasn't there a scene in The Rescuers?
Yeah, they fly by a window and there's like a naked lady on a poster or something in the window. The animators used to do shit like that all the time back then.
I just saw an old cartoon of Mickey and Minnie making Swiss cheese, and I don't want to tell you.
I saw that too.
I don't want to tell you what Mickey was using to make the holes in the Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even discreet. It's there.
It's pretty right. It's out there.
Yeah.
I have to show Katie later so she can know what we were just laughing about.
I have to look it up and see it. Shit, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, I'll send it to you, Mike. I'll find it and I'll send you the link.
All right.
He's making Swiss cheese with his Mickey Dick.
I figured that's what you guys are talking about, but I got to see it for myself.
Hold on. And we're back.
And in 2006, the film The Devil Wears Prada, starring Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, and Emily Blunt, premiered in L.A.
Kevin and I have a special connection to this film in that Katie went to see this movie by herself while Kevin and I chose to go see Lady in the Water. And she said, we're idiots in the background, she just said. And I kind of agree because I probably should have went to see Devil Wears Prada instead. It was a much more entertaining film than Lady in the Water.
Absolutely. But I did love the one guy who just worked out the one arm. I would love to see if anybody ever did that in real life.
I had a friend who used to joke about doing that all the time, but he was never brave enough to do it. You have a must-try beer or craft destination for this evening, Mike?
I do. Rocky Mountain Pils, Chaz Style Pilsner from Big Thomas Brewery, Loveland, Colorado. A well-brewed Czech lager is a real treat and is 6.5% alcohol by volume. Rotating seasonal bits fits the bill. Medium golden with lots of white laceworks. It's got some delicate spicing from Saza's hops and a biscuity Pils malt flavor. There you go.
Beer and biscuits.
Beer and biscuits.
Beer and biscuits.
It's time, folks. Synopsis according to Glip. Brought to you by Newsly. Newsly.me is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android that'll read the news to you in a natural human voice. Stop scrolling. Start listening. Go to Newsly.me today and use the promo code ANDFERMENT to get your first month premium subscription for free. According to Glip, last week, which was, what did we do last week?
Last week we did 1987.
We did the movies in 1987, right? I was testing you. Yeah. So we did the movies in 1987, and according to Glip, this was a really good one this week, I thought. The participants spoke about smoky strawberry lemonade, the quality of Betamax and analog HD TV, keeping bunnies away from Glenn Close, babysitting Elizabeth's shoe. Elizabeth's shoe. No, it's Elizabeth's shoe.
Oh, never mind.
There's an apocryphy.
Gotta watch that
there.
shoe of Elizabeth.
Mike and Leo chewed bubblegum and kicked ass while Kevin discussed his favorite actor, Nicolas Cage.
You done me, Daddy Glip. You done me, Daddy.
And the participants can't forget about the Garbage Pail Kids. Not only was it a very, very fairly accurate clip this week, it was a fun and accurate clip this week. So the Smoky Strawberry Lemonade was, Mike and I were both drinking the old Smoky Strawberry Lemonade whiskey last week. We had talked about Betamaxes a little bit and analog HDD TV because that was one of our film history facts last week. Keeping bunnies away from Glenn Close was, of course, Fatal Attraction.
Right.
Babysitting Elizabeth Shue is Elizabeth Shue starred in Adventures in Babysitting. Chew Bubblegum and Kicked Ass was the quote from They Live. We kept breaking Kevin's balls about Nicolas Cage being his favorite actor.
And he defended
well, he did because he had talked about Raising Arizona that week, and that was,
Yes.
and Moonstruck.
Yes,
as
I
two
can give
good
you a
Nicolas Cage
handful of
performances.
movies. I can give you a handful of movies that I can watch him in and appreciate his acting, and then I can give you a laundry list of shit movies.
And then I didn't forget this either. That Kevin pointed this out. He was like, "Don't forget about 160 on the list of 200 films that year." Garbage Pail Kids.
We all had the cards. We all had the stickers.
Yeah, it was a very accurate and entertaining clip this week. Next week's will probably suck.
Probably.
We will be right back after these short messages.
Hey movie lovers, it's Jackson here from the Back to the Blockbuster podcast. If you've ever wanted to hear an amateur cinephile and an industry professional chat about film and television, then look no further, because every week my co-host Gaius and I, we bring you the latest industry news, break down the most recent trailers, try to beat the box office with our weekly predictions, and dive into our favorite movies on their anniversaries. And every second Friday, you can look forward to the Back to the Blockbuster spin-off, Deep Dives with Owen and Gaius, where the duo dissects a movie of their own choice. All this and more wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Let me ask you a question. When you were a kid, did you ever wonder what teachers talked about in the teacher's lounge?
You probably didn't miss much. It's usually boring stuff like grading papers, lesson planning, and then figuring out the new train schedule.
Train schedule?
Well, I teach in the city.
But sometimes, at one of the not-so-cool tables in the back of the teacher's lounge, you might find us, the Fandalorians, teachers by day, nerds by night.
My name is Mr. Richardson, and by day, Mr. McDonald, Mr. G, and I teach and inspire America's youth.
But by night, we debate, discuss, and argue about all things in the pop culture universe on our podcast.
We discuss all the biggest pop culture topics in the world, like Ozark, Stranger Things, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Marvel, Star Wars, Top Gun Maverick, The Old Man, Bridgerton, you name it, we'll probably discuss it.
You guys watch Bridgerton?
Yo, season 1 of Bridgerton was awesome. You don't know what you're missing. Since we are teachers, you will always get a ton of background information about our topics and original teacher-themed segments, like our pop culture morning announcements, building meetings, and post-observation reviews of shows and movies. Oh, and arguing. You'll get lots of disagreements and arguing, like way more than I'm comfortable with.
You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night.
Then join us every Monday as we look into the current state of fandom and pop culture.
Hey, look, the bell's about to ring. We need to head to the buses. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Well, I mean, they're not going to see us because this is a podcast.
I know.
But they can't even see us when you think about it, so they won't see us either.
Oh my God, you know what I meant. It wasn't literal. Just ring the bell. Ring the bell.
The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night. I hope you listen and subscribe to us soon.
I hate you guys.
Thank you for staying with us after those short messages. Before we get to our main segment here, I want to give a shout out to the Back to the Blockbuster podcast, shouting out them for their awesome shout out to us on their latest episode where they talked about the 25th anniversary of Can't Hardly Wait. And they mentioned a little bit about our program and that everybody should give us a listen. And it's a nice podcast community that we're a part of out there right now. So anytime I get a chance to thank other podcasts for showing us some love, I'm going to take advantage of that. So thank you to the Back to the Blockbuster guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Tonight's main segment, though, is all about one of those films of 1987 that we briefly mentioned last week, The Untouchables. The Untouchables is directed by Brian De Palma As I said earlier, one of his go-tos for his films is extreme violence. I mean, all you have to do is watch Scarface to know that, because that is one of his as well. But I prefer The Untouchables. I think it's his best movie.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Kevin Costner as Elliot Ness, Sean Connery as Jimmy Malone, Robert De Niro as Al Capone, Andy Garcia as George Stone, and a slew of other actors in various roles. It is, to me, a crime classic, a gangster classic. It's in probably my top 5 of mob films of all time. So just a quick, brief summary of the film.
Sorry.
During the Prohibition era, Treasury agent Elliot Ness sets out to stop ruthless Chicago gangster Al Capone and assemble a small, incorruptible team to help him. This movie takes place during the Prohibition. After building an empire with bootleg alcohol, legendary crime boss Al Capone rules Chicago now with an iron fist. Prohibition agent Elliot Ness attempts to take Capone down, but even his best efforts fail due to widespread corruption within the Windy City's police force. So he decides to recruit an elite group of lawmen who won't be swayed by bribes or fear, including Irish-American cop Jimmy Malone. Ness renews his determination to bring Capone to justice. And ultimately, one of the few historically accurate things in the film is that they bring him to justice through tax evasion. Because they couldn't nail him on anything else.
Apparently, with the trivia, it says so was the bribe to Elliot Ness.
Yeah, so is the bribe to Elliot Ness. There are a few things in the film that are historically accurate, but overall, it was not the most accurate film. But it's entertaining. It's a popcorn movie. It's not, you're not watching it to learn things.
No. Who needs to learn about Al Capone and Elliot Ness?
If you
Actually, Elliot Ness was very, towards the end, nobody knew about him. It was the book and then the TV series and then this movie that brought any kind of notoriety to him. And, he died
he died poor and alcoholic, oddly enough. He'd become an alcoholic after Prohibition.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Have a drink.
So, that was the brief summary of the film. You guys have rewatched it as well before the program, correct?
Yes.
Does it still stand up on a rewatching as it did the first time you saw it?
Yes.
Yes, but I do have things that I think I've noticed this time around that I hadn't missed or overlooked before. So we can bring that up in transitioning during the course of the episode.
I always think that a film like this, that's kind of like a period piece in a way, always kind of stands the test of time a little bit because it's a movie out of place.
Yeah, it's not like it's dating itself because it's already dated itself.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it takes place in the 1920s,
1930s,
30s. I'm sorry, in Chicago. Chicago way.
The Chicago
So
way.
I looked up the Oscars for 1988, which is when this film would have been in the running for some of the Oscars. The best actor that year was Michael Douglas for Wall Street.
Okay.
Beating out Marcello Mastroianni for Dark Eyes, William Hurt for Broadcast News, Jack Nicholson for Ironweed, and Robin Williams for Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh, that was a tough crowd there.
Tough crowd there. Yeah, I was pulling for Robin Williams that year. Michael Douglas won. Supporting actor, of course, was Sean Connery for The Untouchables, which many people looked at as a sort of like a career Oscar for him because it was his only nomination in his career. But he beat out Denzel Washington for Cry Freedom, Vincent Gardenia for Moonstruck, Albert Brooks for Broadcast News, and Morgan Freeman for Street Smart.
Tough crowd.
Another pretty stacked thing there. Best actress that year was Cher for Moonstruck, beating out Holly Hunter for Broadcast News, Sally Kirkland for Anna, Glenn Close for Fatal Attraction, and Meryl Streep for Ironweed. That's another, man, this is a pretty tough year in the Oscars.
Well, we saw all the movies that came out that year. So
I know.
Yeah.
Best actress in a supporting role that year was Olympia Dukakis for Moonstruck, beating out Ann Archer for Fatal Attraction, Norma Alejandro for Gabby, Ann Southern for The Whales of August, and Ann Ramsey for Throw Mama from the Train. The Untouchables was nominated for Best Art Design, but lost that to The Last Emperor. They did not get nominated for Best Cinematography, which I thought was kind of strange. I thought they probably deserved that. Was nominated for Best Costume Design, but lost that to The Last Emperor. Was nominated for
Best Music and Original Score.
Yeah, Best Music and Original Score, which I think it lost that as well. Lost that to The Last Emperor.
It's one thing I want to talk about. Make sure I don't forget about the score.
And was not nominated for Best Picture, was not nominated for Best Director, was not nominated for Screenplay. So, I mean, it got kind of shut out on a lot of the major awards.
Mm-hmm.
The only one it did get a major award for was the supporting actor for Sean Connery. So, Kev, what do you want to say what you're going to say so you don't forget it?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's the one thing that really stood out while rewatching it was like some elements of the score were dead on. You know, like there's that part was like perfect for what they were doing, but the other parts where it's big fanfare, it's like they're just running down the street to a car and there's big fanfare for what's coming. It's like it's a little too much. Like this needs to be for a major battle. This needs to be for the. It played really well on the bridge between Canada and New York. Canada and not New York. Canada and and Illinois, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're using this, I mean, and composers do this. They'll take certain themes and apply it towards different things. Okay, they have the train scene. And you have the do-do-do, and that's perfect. Okay, that works. And you have the intro, and you have that's like the Al Capone theme. If you think of, Empire Strikes, the Emperor's theme or the Empire's theme, it makes sense. But like the big fanfare scenes where it's like he's using it too much for different areas, for just something less grandiose,
I think
I think it almost makes some of the scenes comedic because it's such big fanfare for. They barged into the post office, 4 of them. Took the post office, and it's the it's like a little less, just a little less.
So it's even though it's a gangster film, it's about Prohibition, all that. It does have some like touch of like Western to it, a little bit, especially when you talk about the Canadian border scene. They're riding horses in and all that. So the composer was Ennio Morricone, who got his start doing the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood and Sergio Leone. So you can kind of hear that in the score a little bit, that it's got that sort of like spaghetti western flair to it.
And don't get me wrong, certain scenes it was like perfect. That whole the mafia, the mob sound of just the. Yeah, exactly. That worked so well, and it's just those small scenes. It's like they're very minute scenes. They do not need the fanfare, but they just shoved it into that one particular scene. Like,
I'll point it out, like that fanfare theme that they played during the raid of the post office is the same fanfare theme they play at the end when he's found guilty at the tax evasion trial.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
yes.
It works there. You should have it during that scene because it's the big triumphant, climactic moment. But I can see where you're saying like it's probably a little much for that post office scene. Sometimes less is more. Like you think about the scene where the carriage is rolling down the steps at the train station and they're firing back and forth at each other. Listen, there's no music. There's no music in that scene. It's all sound effect and suspense.
Slow motion and
and so it
get shot in the back.
It almost feels like there's music there because it's so intense. Well, you're playing the opening theme for us.
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
Is it not working? Hold on.
Nope. You got to hit play.
I thought I did hit play. Oh wait, no, I don't want to exit the page. My computer's bullshit anymore. Oh snap! No shit.
I can edit it in later. It's fine.
All right.
I was gonna.
Anyway,
I was gonna put the trailer in some point too. So
You can't hear. Oh man, hold on.
Ba-da-bump, bump. Ba-da-bump.
Let's see if I can do this again.
Go for it.
Here you go.
There it is.
Stopped again. It's got to be my shitty laptop.
That's fine. I can put it in and post.
Anyway, yeah.
I'm going to
some
add the trailer in too.
so we can get a new laptop for Kevin.
Don't forget to support us on Patreon so we could buy Kevin some shit.
I got Lenovo, which I believe is the cheap ass version of Samsung.
Yes, it's Samsung Lite. It's
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about the awards, we talked about the music a little bit. Let's get into the most rewatchable scene. There are so many great freaking scenes in this film. It's really hard, I think, to kind of choose, but we'll do our best with this.
All right, everyone pick one. We'll go around.
One? Okay.
No. I mean, we can do more. Just everybody will go around. Everybody find a scene that they really like and talk about that.
I think my favorite scene is the baseball bat scene. Where he bashes the guy's head in. Because I just love the speech that he gives leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I have one vice. And then the guys are like, gambling, dames. And he's like, baseball.
Oh.
Part of a team.
And that supposedly really happened.
Yes,
there actually might have been a third individual.
I believe, yeah, according to the trivia, there was actually 3 guys that he beat the shit out of that night.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
It's like, I mean... in the movie, there was one. One couldn't see it coming. 2 and 3? What the fuck were they doing when he was beating the shit out of the one guy?
It's like Negan in The Walking Dead.
Exactly.
I like that scene because Glenn. I love the monologue that leads up to the scene. I love the reactions of the guys around the table as he's doing it. And then I love the pull away camera shot above the table as you see the blood like pooling around the guy's head and all that, and everybody's just sitting there in shock. Like it's just it's cinematic and gory all at the same time. So I really like that scene. There were some others I really could have chosen, but that's one.
We can come back. But let's hear what Mike has.
Mine is also very cinematic and gory at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is the train station scene where he says, "You got him, I got him, take him."
Yeah,
the blood drip. Then he falls, and the brains are in the back of the wall.
Plus everything leading up to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, my understanding was Brian De Palma had a whole different scene in mind, which he actually used later in, I want to say Carlito's Way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it was Carlito's Way. He wanted to do it on a train, but they didn't have it in the budget to film it on the actual train itself.
Right, because it was a 1930s train and shit like that.
So he used this scene, which is an homage to a Russian film called The Battleship Potemkin, where a similar thing happens, where there's a carriage rolling down steps in front of the Kremlin and people are shooting at each other. And so it's a very similar scene. It's an homage to that because it's one of his favorite films.
And I also think the scene shows how cold-blooded Elliot Ness became as the movie kept getting on. Because at the beginning, he was... You can't do this.
Straight-laced. Yeah. Well, at this point, he had lost Oscar Wallace and he had lost Jimmy Malone.
Mm-hmm.
So, the young guy and the guy that was like his mentor, so at this point, it was like time to play the game the way Capone plays the game.
Right. The Chicago way.
Yeah, Chicago way. Like, he whips out the shotgun and shoots that dude point blank while the lady's standing there watching him. Like,
the guy he broke the nose of earlier in the film.
And we have to, remember the fallen sailors who really tried to get that damn baby out of the way.
That's it. That's another staple of Brian De Palma films. It's like Collateral Damage.
They're all trying to jump over the rail, getting shot in the back.
So, Kev, what is your scene then?
All right, my scene is the filming, the perspective, and it's the scene where Sean Connery gets it. It's I want to use his name. Hold on. The scene where Jim Malone, in his apartment, he got the mobster coming in, and it's first person perspective. He's walking through. You see the camera turning left and right through the apartment. You think you find him the one way, then you hear him cranking the phonograph, turns around, he starts to walk, and it's only when he gets close enough that he turns around with the shotgun, and it goes back to the third person perspective where you see the mob guy, with the knife, and you see Jim with the shotgun, and just like a walk to bring a gun, knife
for a gunfight.
Yeah. Walks them all the way back to the stairwell, and that's when Frank Nitti just, fucking pulls, full of lead, and then the crawling, through to get back. I like the perspective. I like that point of view. I think that was really well done that way.
It was like De Palma saying to Martin Scorsese, "Look, I can do this too." Because it's that one-track shot, follows him through the apartment, and there's a lot going on too. Like there's all these little like motions and little movements in different parts of the apartment that he has to do that all have to time well together. I love the little thing where he goes to the kitchen and opens up the oven and pulls the bottle of whiskey out. It's just like I think on a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. That's a great. It's a great fucking scene. It's a sad scene because it's like you don't want to see that character go.
No,
but you understand why, and you understand, and from a filmmaker perspective, it's an amazing scene.
Yeah.
I also love the
other scenes. Go ahead.
Oh yes, I also love the opening scene where Al Capone's getting a shave. And talking to the press, and it's like he's in the chair, the camera's pointing down at him, the press are all staying around answering questions. He's showing how charming he could be. He's talking about how like, I don't kill people, he's lying to them about everything, and the guy clips him with the razor, and he looks at him, and everybody gets real scared, and then he laughs.
Now, did the guy actually cut himself with the razor, and then he shows him the blood on his finger to say, "Hell no, it was me, not you that I cut"?
No, he was going to shave Capone, and he slipped and nicked him. And then Capone wiped the blood off on his own fingers and shows it to the guy.
Well, I thought that at that point the barber, I'll call him the barber, showed him his fingers, and I'm thinking, okay, he's showing I didn't cut you, I cut me. It's No,
I think he was like, please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah, because even the reporters who were eating it all up at this point were like, "Oh shit, this guy's dead."
Yeah. Did you guys notice the whole scene panning up from the midget bellhop, which I really appreciated, by the way, all the way up the stairs, red carpet, red everything, just to show, and then it gets to Capone, and it's pure, it's white.
Because it was like a metaphor to say like he swims in a river of blood but keeps himself clean.
Clean.
Yeah. De Palma has his moments. For as much as he likes the gore and the violence, he does have some moments of filmmaking that are pretty unique. I was thinking of the other scene was when Ness shows up at the hotel and threatens Capone.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You talk to me like that in front of my son? Fuck you. If you were a man, you would have did it. You were a man, you would have did it right now."
Nothing but talking a badge. Nothing
but talking a badge. Talking a badge. I love the Nero Chicago accent's pretty interesting.
I like the scene where you meet
George
Stone, yeah,
the shooting range
scene.
scene.
What was it before you changed it?
Yeah,
what was it before you changed it?
As an Italian, I like to point out that his name is George Stone.
Yes,
he changed it from Giuseppe Petri, which translates into English as Joe Stone. If he wanted his name to be Italian to English, it should have been Giorgio Petri. So I don't know why he went with George Stone, but whatever.
Played by Garcia.
little nitpick, I did like I like the beginning of that scene where he brings out the one guy, the skinny redhead guy, and he's like, "Why do you want to be a cop?" And he's like, "To protect and he's like stuttering, and he goes, all right, and then he walks away, and he's like, "Next chief of police, right there."
And I will say, you guys, my last scene that sticks out in my mind, it's the scene with Elliot Ness and Nettie. Nettie, right
When he
at
throws
the
him off the
end.
roof.
He's got the gun, and he's walking him back, and he's like, your friend squealed like an Irish pig. Played really, really well by that guy from
Billy Drago.
Yes.
No, it's Brett
A man who is born to be a villain in films.
I don't know. You're right. Billy Drago.
Billy Drago.
Oh man, how come? Oh, I hate this fucking laptop. I'm really just trying to get back to the Untouchables to talk about, but he's walking him to the door.
I said your friend screamed like a stuck Irish pig.
Like a stuck Irish pig.
Hey,
and
he
then
throws
it's
him off
like,
the roof.
later, where is he?
He's in the car.
That's the part. Like he's in the car.
Of course,
Now,
not historically accurate. The real Frank Nitti committed suicide 10 years after that trial happened.
Yes.
And not historically accurate. And the special effects, I know it's 1988.
Mm-hmm. Well, when he falls off the roof. I'll tell you what, it looked better than the guy getting thrown out of the window in RoboCop. Not as good as Hans Gruber. But it's like on a scale of RoboCop to Die Hard, it's in between. It's
average.
Yeah, it's average. That's a great scene. I like the scene.
Was also a Nimrod, and what was that TV show based in Alaska? He was
not Twin Peaks, was it?
No. It was about the doctor in Alaska.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, though.
God forbid my laptop want to cooperate and have me move it all.
I like the, I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night and piss on the ashes. I think, there's another thing that's cool, too, but the scene you picked, Kev, where he's, where you got the POV through the apartment, is the whole time that he's, shot and dying and all that stuff, they're cutting to, Capone at the opera.
Yeah.
With the with Pagliacci, yeah. Crying as the clown singing, yeah. So any other scenes we want to talk about, or should we go on to our favorite quotes? Because there's so many goddamn quotes in this movie.
There's so many goddamn quotes.
I put so many. I have 2 websites for the quotes because I couldn't get enough of it.
We're round robin that one too.
Before we move on to the quotes, I do want to point out, and my wife pointed this out too, because we saw Patricia Clarkson, who played Elliot Ness's wife. This was her debut film.
It was her first role. Yep.
And now you think back and you look at it, it's like, oh man, I know her from so much. Well, this was the beginning.
She was underutilized, I thought. She just basically played the wife who, seemingly didn't have much of a problem with the dangerous job her husband had. And just kind of went with the flow.
I'll just keep popping out babies for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd that baby come from? You were in hiding for fucking. If I were you, I'd check that cop that had to protect her. There you go. You just fulfilled the first rule of law enforcement. Make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive.
Here's the one you were talking about earlier.
So endeth the lesson.
Why do you want to be a police officer? To protect the people and the... I'm not looking for the yearbook answer. Why do you want to join the police force? The force? Yeah, why do you want to join the force? Because think I could help. You think you could help? The force. Thank you very much. You've been most helpful. There goes the next chief of police.
Yeah. If you're afraid of getting a rotten apple, go to the barrel. Get it off the tree. He's got some of the best ones in the movie. Is Connery.
He does, and I mean they gave some to Elliot Ness too. So just preceding him tossing Nitti off the roof, he's like, he squealed like a stuck Irish pig, and he pushed it. He goes, "Did it sound anything like that?"
Yeah.
Mr. Ness, I do not approve of your methods. Yeah, well, you're not from Chicago.
Yeah. I like the, what's the matter? You can't talk with a gun in your mouth.
Yeah.
And don't let him clean himself till after he tells you what he knows. How about this one from Capone? This is the one where he's in the scene with the barber. There's violence in Chicago, but not by me, and not by anybody who works for me. And I'll tell you why. because it's bad for business. Welcome to Chicago. This town stinks like a whole house at low tide. How about the end? Word is they're going to repeal Prohibition. What do you do then? And Elliot Ness responds with, think I'll have a drink.
I gotta say, the interaction between Capone and Ness at the trial when they switched the juries and everything. Oh, lame.
I don't know if you can actually do that.
Lame.
I don't know if you can do that.
I like the whole, do something. And the lawyer goes, we want to change our plea to guilty.
And he punches him.
But
you
like
call
in
this justice, Your Honor? You call this justice?
Don't stop fighting until the fight is over.
So
what'd you say? What'd you say? Don't stop fighting until the fight is over. Come on, man.
You're talking
You're looking for a quote that's not going. And then you watch Capone at the end. First, he brushes it off, and then Ness is walking away, and then he's hopping all over. It's like, dude, you had a moment, and you missed the moment.
How about when Elliot meets Jim for the first time, and he's like, what kind of policeman you got in this damn city? You just turned your back on an armed man. He says, you're a treasury officer. How do you know that? I just told you that. Who would claim to be that who was not? Here's another one. This is another De Niro talking to the journalist. I think this is in the hotel, though. People are going to drink. You know that. I know that. We all know that. And all I do is act on that. And all this talk of bootlegging, what is bootlegging? On a boat, it's bootlegging. On Lakeshore Drive, it's hospitality.
that's part of the shaving scene.
That's part of the shaving scene. I know it was one of the scenes where he's talking to the journalist. Like a lot of things in life, we laugh because it's funny, and we laugh because it's true.
It is true.
You get further with a kind word and a gun than just with a kind word.
What are you prepared to do?
What are you prepared to do? Or when he meets Oscar Wilde for the first time, and he's like, "You carry a badge? Yeah, carry a gun." I say there's so many freaking good quotes in this movie, man.
We're all missing the most famous quote from this.
You pull out a knife, he pulls out the gun, you send one of his to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Chicago way, yes.
And that's how you get Capone.
That's how you
know
Capone.
what a blood oath is? Ness, you just took one. That was Sean Connery's idea, to have it in the church, to have that scene in the church. Because he had said, like, you imagine just, if the police department's as corrupt as it is, you have to go somewhere where you know that the walls aren't listening. And he felt like the church would be the safest place.
You know it's going to be a good movie when the little girl trying to do the right thing.
I was going to say, of all the scenes in the film,
that's the most fucked up part of the movie.
I don't watch that scene ever. I think I saw it the first time I watched the film. I skip over that scene every time because I don't like scenes where kids get hurt in films.
No.
I have a hard time watching kids I think it's because I'm a teacher, but I have a hard time watching kids get hurt. So like I know it's going to happen. I know when it's going to happen, and I just skip over it. The scene with the mother talking to Elliot Ness in the office later is enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I know you're a good man. I know you're a father and you're trying to do right and all that. I want to hurt the man, Malone. You hear me? I want to start taking the battle to him. I want to hurt Capone. Oh, and then right before the scene where he finds the umbrellas in the boxes. All right, man, let's do some good.
Like, come on, really? Like, let's do some good.
Here's the one you really like, Lee.
What's that?
I want to get this fuck where he breathes. I want to find this Nancy boy, Elliot Ness. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go there in the middle of the night and piss on his ashes.
So many good fucking quotes.
There's so many.
Where's Nitty? He's in the car. So I got do we have any more here that we should do? I think we pretty much got all of them. It's like so many quotes there, but I think we got all of them at this point. What are you prepared to do? And I always like when he says, "Here endeth the lesson." That's a good one too. So, what in the film has aged the best to you? Like what stands up and stands out and is still great? even 30 some years later, almost 40 years later at this point. I say the scene in the train station is a scene that kind of stands the test of time as a classic, and will never get. I never get tired of that scene.
Yeah, I mean the baseball bat scene is always good.
Yeah, baseball bat scene.
I was going to say the score, but then Kevin shit all over that earlier in the show.
Yeah, I tell you,
the score is not bad. It's just misused in some spots. He needed to branch out. He needed to.
I like the main score.
Something different for the for the scenes that needed something, but not quite as much. The fanfare for taking the post office was ridiculous. The fanfare for the very end of it, where he's coming out and they're doing the shot of Chicago, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to have a drink." Like, the fanfare was misused often. That's the point I'm trying to put.
I said, I like the main theme and the one that you were talking about, like the da-da-da, like that one stands out to me because that's what I think of when I think of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think what aged the best is a star-making turn for Kevin Costner, because this is one of his first starring roles. Yeah, because this led to Field of Dreams and Bull Durham and all those films.
Megan asked me, what's one of his best roles? And I said, The Big Chill. Now, let me see if either one of you can...
He's the dead body in The Big Chill.
Got it. He's the dead body. You don't even see his face. He's in the very beginning. They're showing body parts in the coffin. That's essentially it.
He's the dead body.
One of the scenes for me that stands the test of time is when Malone faces off versus the chief of police in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not the chief of police.
The argument. He's
one of his friends in the police department, but he's not.
Yeah,
the
but
chief
he's
of police.
high up there. He's like
he's a high-ranking guy, but he's not the chief. No, but I know what you're talking about. That guy. That actor, I can't think of the actor's name, but I can tell you that he was the best man at one of Jack Nicholson's weddings. He's an actor that's been around for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Do you keep the same best man for multiple weddings? Like, do you just kind of roll them in for the next one?
I mean, you want to have if you're going to have a fresh bride, you might as well have a fresh best man, I guess.
Yeah, because you don't want the same bachelor party every time.
Yeah.
Or the same best man speech.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you just take out the bride's name and insert the new one. Yeah. What aged the worst?
Apparently for Kevin, it's got to be the score.
No, the score was not that bad.
It was the interstitial music that he didn't like.
Mm.
I was going to say Amos and Andy as a radio show.
Which was performed by George Carlin.
It was performed by George Carlin, yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it was George Carlin doing the voice work for that. But that's like, radio shows, not just radio shows, but like a radio show like that one. What aged worse? Criminal misuse of Patricia Clarkson.
Mm-hmm.
Great actress. She should have had a little bit more to do.
The little girl scene. God, I hate that one too.
I hate that scene. I feel like you could have
done it without her.
Yeah, well, not just did it without her, but you could have alluded to it too. Like you didn't have to show the actual explosion. Like you could have cut to a newspaper headline or something.
Place, right?
Or her carrying the freaking bag.
Mister.
Boom.
So here's my question. That opening scene, they were trying to push the protection of the mob on this laundry shop.
Yeah.
Right? And it was a laundry shop.
No, they were trying to sell beer.
And what was she going in to get from the laundry shop that she needed to get?
It wasn't a laundry shop.
It wasn't a laundry shop. It was kind of like
it was not a laundry shop. He was selling them beer.
No,
because he says that green beer you're selling is no good. That's what the guy said.
He was selling them beer. He was selling them protection.
He was selling them beer. I'm telling you.
No.
He said the guy tells the guy, the green beer you're selling is no good. That's the line.
I'm not quite sure I believe that.
I can't tell you. I don't rewatch that scene.
The movie.
I can't tell you. I refuse to watch that scene.
Movie, but
I do know, she was going in there to buy something that the mother used
soup or something.
for it was like soup broth or something like that. Yeah.
That's
Because
why
I got the impression it was kind of like a grocery store almost.
Yeah.
I didn't. I saw a laundry shop. That was what was on the the sign.
I don't know. I'd have to watch that scene again to tell you, and I don't want to watch that scene again. So.
No, I don't know. He gets a kid a pot full of something, and I was like, it's a laundry shop. What is she going in there for? Laundry,
Maybe it's detergent.
Her mom's sick. Maybe mom was sick. I need clean clothes.
Overacting award. I give it to Billy Drago in the scene where he pulls up in the car in front of Elliot Ness's house. And this is the exact quote. Nice house. I said, nice house.
That's great.
Must be nice to have a family.
Little girl's birthday?
I don't know what it was, but his Chicago accent had a very, very odd Southern quality to it.
That's okay. His Alaskan accent also had a very odd Southern quality to it.
Nice house. I said, nice house. It was almost like
nice
Foghorn Leghorn.
Come on,
I said, nice house.
Listen, boy, I
said, must be nice to have a family. Let's do a little. We did a lot of trivia already, but let's do a little bit more trivia here. Let me bring up my trivia page. So yeah, you were saying that the bribe that was given to Elliot Ness at the beginning of the film was actually real.
Yes.
They did try to bribe him. They bribed him with $1,000, which would roughly be about $30,000 today.
That's what, $1,000 a week?
Yeah, it says
Yeah,
he might have
$1,000 bill. That's every Monday morning.
He might have regretted that later in life as he died broke at 54 years old.
Yeah.
Albert Wolff, the last survivor of the real-life Untouchables, was the consultant on the movie and helped Kevin Costner with his betrayal of Elliot Ness. In real life, Al Capone knew that killing a Prohibition agent would only lead to more trouble that him and his outfit could handle, and he actually had a non-violence order against men concerning the Untouchables. While Capone did repeatedly attempt to buy them off, he never attempted to kill Ness or any of the other men.
Because he knew it was too heavy for him.
Yeah, I love this. This is how much of a method actor Robert De Niro was back in the day. He tracked down Al Capone's original tailor and had him make identical suits for the movie.
He sits on wearing the same style of silk underwear that Al Capone wore.
Even though you never see it in the film.
Good Lord.
It was Sean Connery's idea to film the blood oath scene in the Catholic Church. It was supposed to take place in the street where the previous scene took place, but Connery felt that the church would be the only safe place in Chicago where two characters could make such a commitment. At the end of the film, he said, "I'll have a drink." Elliot Ness would later become a heavy drinker and get involved in an alcohol-related traffic accident. The movie portrays Elliot Ness as being happily married and his wife having a daughter and baby son in real life. In real life, Elliot Ness had been married 3 times and had only one child who he had adopted, a son named Robert.
Despite the final courtroom scene in the movie, the real Al Capone and Elliot Ness never came face to face during their battles.
Yeah. Though the patron saint of police are Michael the Archangel and Saint Sebastian, Irish police officers often carried St. Jude medals because he was the patron saint of hopeless causes, as he says in the movie. The baby carriage at the train station, the baby in the carriage was the stunt coordinator's son. Getting that kid started early in the family business. And you had said this earlier, Kevin. You were right. It was Carlito's Way where they finally were able to use the battle and the train sequence that he had planned for this movie. Connery's only Oscar nomination and win.
De Niro didn't have much time to gain weight. He had a pad and pillows.
One point about Al Capone's trial that never showed up in the movie. He attempted to plea bargain before the trial, but the judge wouldn't hear of it. He did attempt to bribe the jury, and when the judge found out, he promptly switched to juries. I didn't think you were allowed to do that, man. That's crazy.
Why? Why not? I think that's awesome. I think that should be done every time. It's like, switch to juries.
Switch to juries.
You know, then the prosecutor and the defense attorney get fucked, and so does the judge.
So let's see. The original ending was different. It was to have been a scene with the camera shooting a close-up at De Niro's face as it's being warmed up for a shave. The camera would pull away and still focus on Capone to show the audience that he had reporters around him, much like in the opening scene, but this time in the jail cell. Kind of glad they didn't do that. That's a little too much.
It's a little too much, but I will say to our listeners, Capone did time in our neighborhood.
Yes, he
was over at Eastern State.
Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, where Kevin and I grew up.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando refused $5 million for 2 weeks' work as Al Capone during early casting. He was replaced by Robert De Niro, who portrayed young Vito Corleone in Godfather 2.
I guess we should move to the casting things that I have here, and that's the case because, Marlon Brando turned down the role. The role was then actually offered to Bob Hoskins, who for a short time was about getting ready to start filming. De Niro's schedule opened up, and De Palma went with him instead and paid Hoskins for taking on the role, even though he never filmed any part of it. Hoskins went on to say it was like the easiest $1 million he ever earned. Probably easier than the money he earned from Mario Brothers.
I like the one that Don Johnson was originally offered the role of Elliot Ness.
That's right, because Brian De Palma had worked as a producer on Miami Vice, and he really liked Don Johnson.
Don Johnson was the
he was hot shit back then.
Knees for Elliot Ness.
Costner was the production company's pick, and De Palma
based off of his work in The Big Chill.
De Palma wasn't sure about it, so he talked to Spielberg, who had worked with Costner on the Amazing Stories TV show. Mm-hmm. And Spielberg gave him a glowing review, and so De Palma decided to go with him, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Could have been a sliding doors moment there, man, because Don Johnson could have been the one making Dances with Wolves.
Which leads us to movies we like and movies we didn't like
with Kevin Costner.
Mm-hmm.
My top 5.
What do you want to get? 3?
I'm going to do top 5.
Here's something real quick, guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brian De Palma first noticed Andy Garcia in 8 Million Ways to Die. The first pictured him as playing a villain, in this case, Frank Nitti.
It was Andy Garcia who asked to read the role of George Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's better off that way. I think
Billy
Drago, even though he kind of overacts a little bit, is a much better villain.
Northern Exposure. That was the name of the show. Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure, yeah. It's going to torture you, right?
My mother used to say he couldn't recite his lines without keeping his mouth shut. He would always talk like this, and his character would always talk with his teeth always sealed shut. So,
in no particular order, okay. Field of Dreams.
Yeah, that was my number 1. Yeah,
Bull Durham.
Mm-hmm.
This movie.
Mm-hmm.
Tin Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And Draft Day.
Ooh, good.
I like Draft Day. Draft Day is not a great film, but I really enjoy it.
No, but that's okay. He does a good job.
Oh, and I forgot Robin Hood. Robin Hood has to be like in there somewhere too. I think that would probably be in the top 10.
Is it the movie or is it the actor?
It's the movie. I like the movie a lot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right.
What's yours? No Way Out.
No Way Out. Yeah. No. He did a good job in No Way Out.
The Big Chill.
The Big Chill. He did a fantastic job in The Big Chill. Untouchables. I was looking at him in Wyatt Earp, and I'm like, Tombstone just hits me here. So I can't look at Wyatt Earp and be like, man, But I will say he did a great job with Dances with Wolves.
I think Wyatt Earp's a good movie, but it's not as entertaining, like visually as Tombstone. So
yeah,
I thought he was okay as Clark Kent's dad in the Superman movie.
Yeah. No
small role.
Mm-hmm.
I think his worst movies are probably Waterworld and The Postman.
Yes.
He did another baseball movie called For the Love of the Game that's kind of okay too.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked him in JFK.
JFK, that's a good one too. He was really good.
Yeah, JFK he was really good. Yeah.
Very good in JFK. That's like that stretch that came after doing this film. It was like he had the Untouchables, and then he had Bull Durham, and then he had Dances with Wolves, and he had Field of Dreams, and he had
Robin Hood.
The
Bodyguard.
The Bodyguard. Like he was on the stretch of like movies that just made monster money.
Then he did. Yeah. Then he went to Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp, yeah. He won an Oscar for Best Director for Dances with Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Waterworld. Tin Cup is between Waterworld and The Postman.
I like Tin Cup. It's actually an entertaining film. If I had to replace one, though, I'd probably take Tin Cup off my list and put Robin Hood in there instead, though. If anything, because of what's his face, Alan Rickman. So, if you had to cast these characters today, just the top three characters: Elliot Ness, Al Capone, and Jimmy Malone, who would you cast? And I have some figured out already. I said for the role of Elliot Ness, I would do Chris Evans. Because he has that
he's
sort
got
of
the clean cut, Captain America shit going on.
I had originally said Chris Pine, but I feel like I pick him for everything. So I said, I'm going to go with Chris Evans because he's also a little younger too. And then Elliot Ness was younger at this point.
Yeah.
For Capone, I went with DiCaprio because I think like he's kind of aging into that part of his life now, where it's like that De Niro level of his career.
Okay.
And then for Jimmy Malone, I went with Daniel Craig.
Okay.
What do you laughing about?
I'm laughing because I took this in a totally different direction. This is more comedic than.
Jesus.
Let me hear it.
All right. I'm going to go with Jimmy Malone first. And I have Chris O'Dowd.
So we're doing the Untouchables as a comedy.
As a comedy.
So we got Chris O'Dowd.
We got Chris O'Dowd.
What are you prepared to do?
For Capone, I got Zach Galifianakis.
And for Elliot Ness, you have McLovin.
No, I can't. Ed Helms.
Ed Helms. So aside from Chris O'Dowd, it's like a Hangover reunion.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I wanted it to be fun.
That sounds like a laugh riot. Mike, do you have anything for this?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'll go with Malone first. I would think like somebody like Jeremy Irons would be good for that role.
A little older, yeah.
A little older. For Ness, you got to keep that more, clean cut, all American type guy. So I'm going to go, even though it is who it is. Henry Cavill is Ness.
Okay.
He can do the American accent, so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He played Superman. Come on.
He's the Witcher.
I couldn't come up with anybody for Capone. That was my biggest one I was still having problems with.
Zach Galifianakis.
Kevin Costner's Capone.
That'd be cool if you bring Kevin Costner back as
Malone.
Not as Malone because he can't do the Irish accent. He can barely do the English accent. But I like him as Capone. I think that'd be interesting.
Capone, that would be funny.
I have two more for things that aged the worst that I forgot about. The historical accuracies. This is not a historically accurate film. Don't watch it for the history. And blatant murder at the courthouse. Like he throws Nitty off the roof and there's no consequence to it.
It's self-defense.
Oh yeah.
Nitty tripped.
Nitty tripped, yeah. It was an accident. Oh man. Mike, do you have any beer trivia or history for us this evening?
I do. Where to go? Quebec is not so much a beer style as a domestic Norwegian farmhouse ale yeast strain has become increasingly popular with the craft brewers around the globe. Why? Because it can do something most normal beer yeast strains cannot. Ferment a perfectly drinkable ale at astonishingly warm temperatures in a matter of hours rather than days. It hails from southern and western Norway. Look for fruity, flavorful Quebec IPAs at a craft brewery near you.
Okay. How were our drinks this evening, gentlemen? Were we Prohibition ready?
I always like a good gin and tonic, and honestly, I was looking up Untouchables drinks, and there was one called the South Side, which I had considered, but I did not have simple syrup, nor did I have our mint leaves. Our mint plant has not grown to fruition, so I could not take anything off the mint plant that we have as of yet. But
there is, I know that Great Lakes Brewing Company has a beer called the Elliott Ness, but I wasn't able to find it anywhere around here to have that tonight.
No, the only thing I had in my fridge that was Great Lakes was the Ella Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm. Edmund Fitzgerald.
Her too.
I have some Outlaw whiskey because we're talking about outlaws during Prohibition, and it was pretty good. And Mike?
And I had my blackberry moonshine with ginger ale, which is always an excellent choice.
Always excellent. Always. This is the first time in a while none of us drank beer during the show.
Yeah.
There's always at least one of us. A little bit. I figured it fits with the whiskey stuff. Yeah. All right.
I got whiskey. I just don't have Canadian whiskey.
Okay. What's that? The voices in your head?
Voices of our childhood.
I was going to say the voices in my head. I hear voices in my head. Thank you for joining us tonight for episode 111, the revisit deep dive of the Untouchables. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget to send us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. Don't forget to go to Patreon so you can help us buy Kevin some new equipment. Go to Teespring to buy our merchandise. And don't forget to like, subscribe, download, support the show any way you can, and help us keep making some great content for you guys out there. Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between pickled and fermented next week as we present episode 112, The Voices in My Head, an ode to voice acting in film and television. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
That's the Chicago way.
Hello, Spooklings.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're the hosts of the weekly podcast, All Hallows Eve Podcast.
We are a husband and wife duo with a passion for anything spooky, macabre, and true crime, sprinkled with our own twist of comedy.
We explore topics such as the history of Halloween, the Butcher of Plainfield, Hocus Pocus 2, urban legends, superstitions, and more.
So come join us as we go down the rabbit hole that is All Hallows Eve Podcast.
Listen and follow us at allhallowsevepodcast.com or your favorite podcast provider.
Stay spooky, my friends.
He's got a high chlamydia
count.
Hey.
That's something maybe for
He's
next
got more
May
chlamydia
4th.
than Master Yoda.
Or your father was a great pilot when I first met him. Not, he was a 8-year-old pod racer.
Yes, exactly.
That could be the next Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
I'll add that to the show notes so we don't forget about it, and then that way, or I could do it. I have them up already.
I'm sorry. I spent the entire day with the dog. All day.
Kevin's a little worn out from babysitting the dog all day today.
Mm-hmm.
Has she thrown up any more cucumbers?
Katie wants to know if she threw up any more cucumbers.
No, she went back outside and ate the ones that she threw up.
Well, that's a dog for you.
She went outside and ate the ones she threw up.
Oh.
Sounds like a dog.
Yeah.
What? That mean Kevin needs to get his drink now?
After these messages, we'll be right back. So I'm back. You guys back?
I'm back.
I'm front.